on the Vince Everett-Ellison Show, we're going to talk about how the Democratic Party has so many similarities to the Church of Satan. Yeah, we're going to get into that today on the Vince Everett-Ellison Show. All right, let's get this thing started. You know, the Church of Satan is a terrible organization. They had this cat who was over it for a while. His name was Anton LaVey. And I'll read you his Wikipedia page. Anton was an American writer, musician, and Satanist. He's the founder of the Church of Satan. The philosophy of LaVey, Satanism, and the concept of Satanism. He authored several books: The Satanic Bible, The Satanic Rituals, Satanic Witch, The Devil's Notebook, and Satan Speaks. In addition, he released 3 albums. Anyway, he's a sick dude. But I was amazed at the one thing that Anton LaVey said that's really the theme of the Church of Satan, and how it kind of lines up with the theme of the Democratic Party. And the theme is, do as thou wilt. Do as thou wilt. In other words, do what you want to do. If it feels good, do it. Y'all, that's the theme of the Church of Satan, and that's the theme of the Democratic Party. Do you see where I'm going with this? They try to confuse you. For instance, you know, they have these words about, you know, LGBTQ. They talk about gender ideology versus gender expression. This stuff gets so freaking weird, man. So this is what they try to tell you. You can actually have a man in a dress, all right? Like Caitlyn Jenner, man in a dress. Dude got makeup on, high heels, dress, got plastic surgery, all that kind of stuff. I always thought that if you had a dude in a dress, that he was gay, right? That he obviously a woman, he like men. Oh, no. They telling me that you can have a dude in a dress, and the dude in the dress still like women. He still want to get down with women. And I said, hell you say? He transgender, but that don't mean he gay. That absolutely positively makes no sense to me whatsoever, but they say this is how it is. Now, you can see how this is true because when you have a woman, well, a trans man is a woman that wants to live and look like a man. Got me? Well, some of them suckers ain't got pregnant. So obviously this guy, this woman that looks like a guy still got all of her woman parts, and she still like getting down with men, even though she looked like a man. Well, ain't that about the craziest mess you ever heard in your life? Do what thou wilt. So they say that your gender identity is something that you're born with. And that's unprovable because when they say, hey, when a dude say, I feel like a man, what is that? What does that feel like? See what I'm talking about? He can say that, but how do you know what a man feels like? Nobody know what you feel like. I don't know what that person feels like. I feel like a man. Okay. What does that feel like? I don't know. Well, explain it to me. I ain't got to explain it to you. Have a man. Oh, I feel like a woman. And what does that feel like, sir? Okay, so you got gender identity, what you're born with. But then you got this other thing, and that's called gender expression. And this is how you express that identity. So, you got a dude that whose gender he believes that he's a dog. How does he express the fact he's a dog? He puts on a dog suit and walks around there. You got a guy that believes that he is a woman. So they want to have the freedom to express their gender any way they want to express it. And they're telling you that you got to accept that. And that if you don't accept that, something is wrong with you. Gender identity versus gender expression. You feel me? So they say your identity is what you're born with, but your expression is how you show it. Now, in the household I grew up in, the household I have, I don't give a damn how you feel. This is how you're going to express yourself. You can say, ooh, I'm mad. You better learn how to control that, boy. Ooh, I'm promiscuous. You better learn how to control that. Oh, I want to dress as a woman. You sure going to learn how to control that. Get yourself under control. I don't care about how you feel. And see, that's problem. That is talking about feelings. And nobody, we ain't supposed to care how you feel. My daddy didn't care how I felt. It was 100 degrees and he needed his yard cut. I don't feel like cutting it. What? Discipline is about controlling your feelings and doing what is expected of you. 5 o'clock in the morning, it's 10 degrees below zero. You got to go to work. Do you feel like getting up and going to get in that car? Hell no, you don't. You go to work. You playing football. You at the University of Tennessee, 110,000 people in the freaking stadium. There's 100 degrees outside. And you playing Alabama, and you got to drive 99 yards in order to score. Anybody care what you feel like? You got to go out there and get the job done, boy. You storming the beaches of Normandy, and the Germans shooting at you. You think them boys, oh, I don't feel like doing this, man. I'm turning around. No, you do your duty. Your feelings. Do what thou wilt. The Democratic Party. You know, Karl Marx wasn't just, the hero of the Democratic Party, Karl Marx. Wrote the Communist Manifesto, and Marxism, communism. It's caused hundreds of millions of deaths behind this stupid ideology. The Russian Revolution, the Chinese Revolution, the Cuban Revolution, Vietnam. Still right now, the world is trembling from the works of Karl Marx. And Karl Marx wasn't just writing about stuff and it was theoretically evil. Karl Marx was actually a Luciferian. He was actually a demonically possessed man. And, I was sent this clip by my brother, Jordan Peterson, talking to this guy about Karl Marx and his crazy satanic principles. I want you to watch it.
These poems that he wrote that were pans to Mephistopheles, is that after he becomes an atheist?
No, he's writing, so the first one was 1837. Wrote another in 1841. He wrote a bunch of them.
Right.
He did just a chilling play called Ulanem.
Yes.
Oulanem. And people that are watching this, if they now type into their computer Ulanem, even in Google, it'll pop up. Play by Karl Marx.
Yeah.
It even has a Wikipedia entry. And let me warn people, you might not want to do this, but if you click the images button, you will see, there's some satanic stuff up there from not heavy metal, but black metal groups. So Ulanem is an anagram for Emmanuel or Emmanuello.
Right.
So Marx takes Emmanuel, which is the name given to Christ, or Manuelo, and he flips it into this anagram called Ulanem. And it's this chilling play. The main character is Lucindo, Lucindo. And you just can't believe what you're reading with this play. Mm-hmm. So that was written later in the 1840s. So really the prime of his writing, including the decade when he wrote the Communist Manifesto, is also the same decade when he was writing these poems.
And plays.
And plays.
Yeah.
And plays. And throughout his life, his kids and others would say, Yeah, he had a favorite line always from Mephistopheles. Everything that exists deserves to perish. So that remains a part of him throughout his life. His son, Edgar, has a letter where he addresses his father as my dear devil, which I don't know. Maybe it's playful. I don't know.
Yeah.
Although I would never, call my dad my dear devil. His wife called him my wicked knave. I quote Henrik Heinzen, referring to him as a goblin who tried to take me under his spell. Other cases of where he's using that kind of language. When Engels first met him, he describes him as this dark man from Trier, who hops and leaps and springs on his heels. The monster of 10,000 devils, he describes him. And the letter from his father is, which was written in 1837, a year before his father died. So his father writes to him, March 2nd, 1837. Karl, at times my heart delights in thinking of you and your fortune, and yet at times I cannot rid myself of ideas which arouse in me sad forebodings and fear when I am struck, as if by lightning, by the thought, is your heart in accord with your head, your talents? Has it room for the earthly but gentler sentiments which in this vale of sorrow, it's a beautiful letter in many ways, are essentially consoling for a man of feeling? And then this question from the father of Karl Marx to his at this point, 18-year-old son. And since that heart, Karl, is obviously animated and governed by a demon, not granted to all men, is that demon heavenly or Faustian? Will you ever, and that is not the least painful doubt of my heart, will you ever be capable of truly human domestic happiness? And this doubt has no less tortured me since I have come to love a certain person like my own child, will you ever be capable of imparting happiness to those immediately around you? By the way, the answer was no, right?
Well,
but that
obviously
phrase,
the father had intimations of that.
Yeah, and since that heart is obviously animated and governed by a demon not granted to all men, is that demon heavenly or Faustian? That's his dad.
Yeah.
And there's only so many of those things, I think, that a sympathetic Marxist or Marxist biographer can shrug off. I mean, there's just so many statements like that from him and people about him and people who knew him and loved ones and a wife, a son, a best friend from Engels, and then the different writings. Whew.
Now, did you see what I'm talking about here and how these leftists who lived in the Democratic Party and who took it over in the 1970s after the Civil Rights Movement, do you see what they've wrought to America? This is why you have the ghettos. This is why you have the dope. This is why you have all of these terrible things happening and why they want God out of the public square. This is the one thing they want, y'all. God out of the public square. They want Supreme Court to get God out of public schools. And right now, if you want to make a Democrat mad, you start talking about putting God back in public education. Where they take God out of schools and put drag queens in. Where they take the Bible out of libraries and put the porn in. Where they're always fighting to make sure that religious schools cannot get any government money whatsoever, even though the parent of that child is paying to have that child sent to school. Separates church and state. There's no separation of church and state, man. If that is separation of church and state, why, when George Washington put his hand over the Bible, he said, "So help me God," when he took the oath of office for the first time? If there's a separation of church and state, how can you say that your rights come from God, which is the staple of American ideology? Our whole declaration, the foundation of this nation was built upon that concept. Our rights come from God. Even old crazy Anton LaVey, when he died, he said, he was quoted as saying, "Oh my, what have I done? Something isn't right here. Oh my, what have I done?" Yeah, he started feeling it. Anton knew he had messed up. And you got a whole lot of Democrats doing that right now. You know, they'll try to tell you that the white conservative is your problem. But you fall for that. How's a white conservative lied to you? He hasn't promised you affirmative action. Nope. Did he? No, he did not. Did he promise you integration? Nope, he did not. You don't have either one of those. Who promised you integration and affirmative action? White liberal. Did the white conservative promise you welfare that destroyed your family? Nope. The white liberal did, not the white conservative. The white liberal promised you welfare that destroyed your family. Yeah. What did old Democrat tell me? You can make an N-word drink poison if you give it to him for free. Yeah, did he promise you? Did the conservative promise you he was going to let all these illegals come in and take over your space and overrun your schools and compete with you for rent and jobs? No, it's that liberal that did that. That Democrat that did that. They're amazing in their arrogance. They're amazing in their pride. They don't have a problem flaunting it, showing it to you. And instead of you just saying, hey, man, I ain't going to accept that, what do black folks do? They step out with it. You know, they flaunt it in your face. Right now, they're planning this week in Washington, D.C. to have a World Pride celebration. So it's this World Pride is when all the LGBTQ weirdos and freaks come to a certain location and shake their naked behinds all in the world's face and say that they are proud. You know, they flaunt the gravest of all sins in the face of the world, the sin of pride. And there's a story in the Washington Post about it that since Donald Trump has taken over the Kennedy Center, they said, we ain't going to the Kennedy Center. Damn Trump. So I'm going to read you about what they say. It says, this story came out April 26, 2025. It says, World Pride relocates events scheduled for the Kennedy Center. And it says, in a charged political atmosphere, organizers for the LGBTQ plus event say they chose a venue where their community will be welcomed. Where is that? Hell? So this is what they say. This guy by the name of Joe Heim, H-E-I-M, wrote the article. He said the Capital Pride Alliance will move events celebrating LGBTQ plus. Plus got a whole lot of stuff in it, man. I mean, they got all kind of weird stuff in this thing now. Celebrating LGBTQ plus rights, it is scheduled for the Kennedy Center this spring as part of the World Pride Festival. You got Black History Month, now you got World Pride Festival to ensure our entire LGBTQ plus community will be welcome, the organization said in a statement. The tapestry of pride programs featuring sections of the AIDS Memorial Quilt, a reading room, and drag story time. Okay. Oh, man. Ugh. They're going to bring children to this event and let these drag queens. You know what? They should take the license plates of all the parents that take their children to this stuff, and they should charge them with child abuse to take all their children from them. Okay, what's that say again? Okay. A reading room and drag story time will be moved to the World Pride Welcome Center in downtown D.C., the alliance said. Now, they're not saying this, saying it's a damn shame. These children shouldn't be subjected to this. You need to put all these jokers in the penitentiary. No, they're not saying that. They're saying, like, this is a good idea. This is all right. That Pride folks got a point here. The 3-week-long Pride Festival. Damn, 3 weeks. You got to look at this guy. 3 weeks. Damn, I thought it was going to be like day or two. 3 weeks. That's 21 days, man. The 3-week-long World Pride Festival, which begins May 17th, is expected to bring 2 million to 3 million people to the nation's capital. How the hell you gonna bring 3 million people to Washington, D.C. when Washington, D.C. ain't home but like 800,000 folks right now? Lord have mercy. To the nation's capital, including tens of thousands of international visitors. Organizers have lined up major performers, including Shakira, Jennifer Lopez, Troye Sivan. His name is Troyesivan. I guess it's Troye Sivan. Doechii, Cynthia Erivo, and the event is also intended to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Washington's first gay pride event in 1975. World Pride is happening and is essential to our community both in the U.S. and around the world, that we continue to be seen. They won't be seen. And our voices heard, Jim Crenshaw, Deputy Director of the Alliance, said in the statement. Do as thou wilt. America's dying because of this stuff. And instead of them putting a lid on it, they're celebrating it. Boy, these are some sick people. And all we can do is ignore them. I'm not going down there to protest. I ain't going down there to watch. I don't want them suckers nowhere around me. I'm about as close to them right now as I want to get. I don't want to see it, but because I'm a content creator and I need to bring this up to y'all, I got to be up on what these jokers are doing. Oh, man, I don't feel like watching none of this crap. I guess that's part of the job. Anyway, do as I will, y'all. The World Pride Parade's coming to a place near you. They're coming for your children because they got their little reading room. They're coming to groom your children like they're doing in California. They should call Gavin Newsom Gavin the Groomer. That's a good name for Gavin Newsom. Call him Gavin the Groomer. The Democrat Party with the freak-offs, bunch of perverts, liars, psychopaths, and anti-Christian bigots. Thugs, hoes, and rappers. They're going to be down there in Washington, D.C., y'all. Do as I will. The Satanic Church and the Democratic Party have united. They are one. Don't you forget that. And if your pastor or your political or your politician or your civil rights groups are affiliated with these people, you need to get rid of them suckers real quick, because I'm going to tell you there's a reckoning. God going to let these people keep grouping together because he's going to find, he already know who they are, but he wants you to see who they are to see if you come and you can hang with them. As I said before, I used to hear black folks talk about it all the time. Yeah, we got murders in the black community because they put the gun shops there. We got dope because they put the dope there. We got all this and all that because the white man put that stuff in our community. Let me tell you something, man. They can put an 18-wheeler full of crack cocaine in front of my house, and I'm not going to touch it. I can have 30 guns in my house, and I ain't going to shoot nobody unless I need to. Unless he invade me or try to take something from me or try to hurt me. That's what this is. They're going to bring this foolishness right to your doorstep and see how you respond to it. To see if you want it, to see if you'll deal with it, or see if you say, get thee behind me, Satan. Away from me. Do as I will. The theme of the Satanic Church and the Democratic Party. Do as thy will. No guardrails. No controls, no guardrails to the ordered society that Edmund Burke talked about. Oh no, this is chaos, man. Great philosopher said the hell is a place where all things are permitted. And right now, that's basically the United States of America. And the only thing that's going to hold you back is your belief in Jesus Christ. Lord have mercy. What a hell of a situation. There used to be a gospel song that said, what's wrong with the people today? Bad situation, living in a mean old nation. Do what thou wilt. Anton LaVey, I don't think he was the leader of the Satanic Church. I think Anton LaVey is the leader of the Democratic Party. Satanic Church, Democratic Party, are one. The line is completely drawn between us and them. And I'm not saying that all Republicans are great. I'm not saying that the Republican Party is the party of God. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the Democratic Party is damn sure the party of Satan. I'm saying that. I'm not saying that God's a Republican, but I'm sure enough saying that Satan is a Democrat. I'm telling you that. That's for sure. And now it's your time to decide whose side you're on. Their side or God's side. Because I'm telling you where I am. I'm over here on God's side, and I'm delivering this message to you, and I want to make it as plain as day, no ambiguity, because I am here to wake you up. Hope I did you some good today. Now I want you to subscribe. I want you to comment. I want you to like, because this is the kind of content that's going to shake up the world, and I'm going to keep delivering it. So join me again for another edition of the Vince Everett Ellison Show. All right, friends, Vince Everett Ellison is here. I want you to go to my website, and on my website, you're going to see a lot of great stuff, man. You're going to see that we got t-shirts, we got caps, you got my books, my documentaries, you got all kinds of stuff on VinceSpeaksTruth.com. Go there. We're dropping new t-shirts, we're dropping new merchandise. My new book, The End of Tolerance, is there. The End of Tolerance. Make sure you get it. Make it #1. If you got my first 3, get The End of Tolerance. It's just as good. And it's telling us we have to end our tolerance with these leftists, these Democrats. We can no longer allow them to sexually groom our children. We can no longer allow them to castrate little boys and call them little girls, run God out of the public square, take away our guns, take away our sovereignty. No longer allow it. So go on VinceSpeaksTruth.com. That is VinceSpeaksTruth.com. Hit merchandise. You'll see the t-shirts. You'll see the caps. You'll see the books. You'll see the documentaries. You'll see it all. And let's keep this ball rolling. God bless you.